Hi, I'm Simon, and welcome to this conversation on domestic violence and White Ribbon Australia. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies resilience, determination, and the power of channeling pain into purpose. My friend Sheridan Braadvedt is doing something truly extraordinary by running a half marathon every day for 7 consecutive days. This challenge is more than just a physical feat. It's a deeply personal mission. On the 1-year anniversary of surviving her own traumatic domestic violence experience, Sheridan is running to raise money and awareness for White Ribbon Australia, an organisation that is devoted to creating a future where every woman is free of violence and harm. In this conversation, Sheridan opens up about finding her limits, how her community has shaped her journey, and why this cause is so deeply personal to her. Her story is raw, powerful, and inspiring, and I'm honoured to share it with you. Let's dive in. Well, welcome Sheridan. We're here today with Sheridan Braadvedt to talk about something really exciting. She has a huge challenge coming up. I'm super excited about learning more. What she's doing, we're just going to explore this afternoon and hear all about it, because I know that most of the world, like me, think it's just a little bit crazy, right? So 7 half marathons in 7 days for White Ribbon. We're going to break it down. So Sheridan, tell me, you're doing this for White Ribbon. That's what I want to hear about first. Can you tell me a little bit about the White Ribbon Foundation? And why that's near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, so firstly, thanks for having me. You are right. A lot of people think I'm insane. I think one of the best reactions I got was, do you have a certificate? And I was like, what, do I need a certificate to raise money? And he said, no, certificate in insanity. I was like, I'll check that. Yeah. So White Ribbon is it is now international organisation that works to prevent domestic violence. So I think it has had a misconception that it is to support domestic and family violence survivors.
Yeah.
And there is an element of that, sure, but the majority of their work is actually preventing this from continuing to happen. So the next generation are being educated in what that looks like and how to stop it, and what it means to call out your mates or call out a colleague or anything like that. And I'm raising a little boy, so for me that's really important to align those values and ensure that he knows and has the tools to start the conversation or even change the direction of a conversation or call out an action. And I have a lot of friends with young girls. I mean, I have cousins who are younger, and for me that's huge for them to be able to be confident and know that there's things happening in the works, because I couldn't imagine being an 11-year-old and seeing that this year 86 women have been killed. All right, what does that mean for your future? You know?
Yeah. Look, there's so much to pull apart there. Let's start at the end.
Yes.
That stat.
Yes.
Let me get that right. 86 women are victims. 86 women have died this year in 2024 as a result of domestic violence in Australia.
Yeah, and I fear that by the time this is probably broadcast, there'll be more.
Yeah.
The stats are rising so quickly, and it's all about gender-based violence. The majority of it is domestic and family.
That's just shocking. There's no way I was aware of that. We feel like we've got a lot of the things in place to protect anyone, and through lots of structure through our emergency services and things like that to protect women and victims of domestic violence. But clearly, it's not enough, and something has to change, right?
Correct, and I think that's also part of the reason I chose White Ribbon, is because there needs to be more of a conversation around this. Why are we not talking about that more? Why is that stat not everywhere? Why does not everyone know about that? Yeah. I mean, the rising number, I think there was 1 week, maybe two weeks ago, I think it was, where we had about 6 women in like 4 days.
Wow.
It was almost every time I opened up my phone, I saw another's life taken. And it's just not good enough. And it's not just a women's battle. It affects all of us. Unfortunately, women and children are the ones that are suffering the most. But it's not up to us to fix the problem. Well, it's not just on us.
Some might argue that it's exactly the reverse, right? That this is something that men need to take on.
Absolutely.
And the challenges with them. Thank you for clarifying more about White Ribbon. I've got to say that's helping me in my awareness, because I feel like there's a number of things that are being done in Australia, but White Ribbon's work is in raising awareness and education campaigns.
Yeah.
Is an area of that awareness and education campaign that's particularly caught your attention and inspired you in terms of, that makes a difference?
I think for me it's that they've got men involved. There's a lot of organisations.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of organisations out there for women and domestic and family violence, and it's all female fighting the fight.
Yeah.
Because it affects us, so we're out there trying to stop it from happening. But like we've just discussed, it's not just our problem. It's not something that just we can fix. And so White Ribbon really encourage men to be the champions of those conversations. They get them in for roundtable conversations, to be someone to stand up and talk at like schools, universities, workplaces, and seeing it go into like a man going into a school and giving younger generation that insight into becoming a better man, and that the way you treat women has an impact well beyond just the words you say in a locker room.
Yeah.
That's going to, to me, I think that's going to make such a difference. I grew up with brothers. I know what when boys are being boys, what that's like. I've been subject to it. So let's put an end in that and see what that carries on is what really needs to be identified.
Yeah, you're making my skin tingle. This is this is music to my ears. As you know, values-driven men who put integrity and a whole range of other important values first is near and dear to my heart. And hearing that White Ribbon puts a lot of its energy into how men can change the narrative, change the perspective, and make a difference across Australian culture sounds fabulous to me. So I know that's something people like me will want to get on board. So
which is fantastic, and that's what we need. We need more men like that, and less of the other podcast pandemic of whatever men being men that has grossly scaled of recent times. So it's good to see a different side of it. Yeah,
absolutely. There's a place in modern masculinity for recognising that there is zero place for domestic violence in any of its forms. All right, so I can see why you're passionate about White Ribbon and what it does.
Yes.
That should lead us to the next bit, which is the mental bit.
Yes.
7 half marathons in 7 days. This started somewhere clearly. Like, what was the genesis for you deciding that you should run a lot?
Well, so this time last year was quite a emotional struggle for me. I faced my own domestic and family violence situation in this first week of December. It was the first 5 days. I had about 4 different situations, and I was really dreading it this year. The first anniversary, I mean, truthfully, I still am. There's a part of me that is very nervous about the first anniversary of all of these things.
It feels like that's something any domestic violence, anyone who's a victim of it is likely to encounter, that these are not things that go away.
No, certainly not. Certainly not when the relationship ends. That's not when it all ends. So was really struggling with the upcoming date and how it was getting close, and I didn't know quite what I was going to do. And a beautiful friend of mine suggested that maybe I should do something positive rather than focusing on all of the scared emotions, which is not taking away from the fact that I am scared and that I'm nervous about these things that are going to be brought up. But it's definitely helped me channel it into something that I'm passionate about and I'm giving back to. So, so that's where the 7 days came from in the first week of December, because everyone goes, why are you doing it in such a hot time of the year? Which, true, but that's when that all resonated with me. I needed to do something in this first week of December that gave back rather than it being on me. And I chose running because I started running this time last year to cope with what I was going through. It's really a form of escape and a form of therapy for me.
Yeah, so hold on. I would think anyone mad enough to do 7 half marathons in 7 days would be a runner.
Yeah.
But you've hinted that that's not the case? Is running a regular part of your life?
It is now. It was not.
It is now. All right, wind the clock back for me. A year ago, were you running a lot?
No. So I completed my first half marathon in April this year.
Yeah.
And then first marathon in July or June, July, the Gold Coast Marathon.
Yes.
And then I was like, right, what's next? So prior to that, I was a cyclist, so I do have a bit of a fitness background.
Yeah, so this is me too. I'm a cyclist, and if it's something I know, following riding is for people who call themselves triathletes.
Yeah.
And they're crazy, and that's not me, and that's not you either, right? So,
No.
Yeah. So tell me more about the running a year ago.
Well, I think being a single parent, your time goes from similar to most other people's to half, if not more than half, is lost. And I mean, as a cyclist, you get out at 4:20, 4:30 in the morning, and you're out till 7:30.
Best time of day.
It's beautiful and it's wonderful, but it's a long time, and
Yeah.
I've yet to find a babysitter that's willing every morning to be there from 4:30.
Let me know when you do.
Yeah. That'll be very popular in the cycling community. But yeah, so it was a time restraint thing, and it was honestly the first. I started running time restraint and to process, and then I got to a 12, 14K run maybe, and I had my first runner's high that people talk about.
I need to hear more about this. Tell me more about this runner's high.
It's this point where you get to where it really, really hurts. It really hurts, and you think, why am I doing this? No one's forcing me to do this. What am I out here doing? And then about 20 minutes after you finish, it's this euphoric feeling. And obviously it's all your endorphins running through your veins. But I remember hitting that moment and being like, oh, I need more of this. This is what I need. Like, people talk about like drugs and alcohol to escape or to process. That, not me. Like, that running high, way better than any big night or drinking I've ever had. And trust me, I feel a lot better afterwards. So yeah, that was my runner's high that I have now continued to chase, I guess you could say.
All right. So Sheridan, this is fantastic. I'm understanding where a cyclist has been converted into a runner. I'm questioning your sanity already. But I'd love to understand how you get from, one of the most traumatic experiences of your life, discovering that running's great for a high, it's for mental clarity, to this place you're at a year later where we're going to do a whole bunch of running to raise money and awareness for White Ribbon. What was the journey? Walk me through the thought pattern on that.
Well, at first it was something for me. I started very selfishly as something I wanted to achieve for myself, to prove, I guess, to get back some self-worth that I had lost. Yeah. And then after I finished the half marathon, I was told before I did it that it was going to be one of the hardest things I'd ever do. And I was like, right, bring it on. I want this runner's high.
Yeah, I'm taking your word for it on this, by the way.
And then I finished and I was like, yeah, that was a lot. That was 21 Ks, but like, I didn't get the high again.
Yeah, hold on. So like a year ago, runner's high, lots of pain.
Yeah.
Half marathon. What's the difference here? What was the difference between then and your half marathon?
I think probably I was trained for the half, and I went for it quite cautiously. So I wasn't going flat strap because I was like, this is meant to be the hardest thing I'll do, or one of the hardest things that I do. And I think also maybe that I had processed not a lot of, but I'd processed some of my trauma. Yeah. And I think when you start to look inwards and touch pain, physical pain doesn't hurt as much. Because emotional pain far outweighs that. Anyway, so I got to the end of the half marathon and thought, wow, better do a full.
Of course. That's the natural leap for everyone who does a half marathon.
Yeah, I was like, oh, better see how what that feels like, how spicy that can feel.
Yes.
And only 1% of the population has done a full marathon.
It's an amazing achievement.
And I wanted to be that person.
Yeah.
And I loved it. The Gold Coast Marathon was sensational. The atmosphere, it was next level. And there's something about like the running community.
Yeah.
Very lucky to have a great cycling community.
Yes.
But we'll be the first to admit there is a bit of elitism in it.
No. I can't hear you, Sheridan.
What do you mean? You're wearing one branded bits and the other branded jersey. Like
there's so many rules.
There's so many rules. But running, there's no rules. It's just run. And so I was like, oh, what can I do? And what can I do to make a bit of noise so people might pay attention?
Yeah.
10 Ks a day isn't going to get me that. So
I
was like, why not push myself and see if I can do a half a day for 7 days.
All right, so excellent. You're painting the picture here for me.
Yeah.
I'm totally understanding. We wind the clock back a year, and at a pivotal point you found running and a runner's high, and with training and determination and processing, a half marathon and a full marathon aren't enough. And so here we are.
That's it. Yeah. And you've got to, I mean, to raise money, I believe you've got to make some noise.
Yeah.
If I want people to talk about this, if I want this to be different by the time that my son is 15, 16, or actually it would be really nice if it was in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
But if I want there to be change by then there's got to be noise. And I'm just not happy sitting in silence and letting it continue.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's do something crazy to get people to go, you're insane. And then why? And so I can tell them.
Yeah.
And then the conversation hopefully snowballs.
I love it. Look, this is definitely the way to do that, and it's definitely getting attention. So I think you're doing exactly the right thing.
Yeah.
So where did running start? What's your first memories of running?
Oh, funnily enough, I have a bit of a weird first memory. Well, I've got one of my dad running, so he's done Ironman, and then he quickly worked out that running was not for the older joints, and was a cyclist. But my mum was a runner. And she broke her foot just gas bagging with her friend while she was running.
Yeah. How old were you at the time?
Oh, gosh. Maybe 6 or 7.
Wow, yeah. And this really stands out to you.
Yeah, because I remember thinking, I understand, like, Dad's going really fast on the bike, and when he skins himself, I kind of get it, because he's coming off at crazy speeds. So I thought running was safer of the two options. Mum was in bed, broken foot, and then, a few months later, I was back running again, and I thought, well, there's got to be something in this. But put that to bed for a while. I played a whole bunch of other sport throughout school, and then, I was a cyclist, and then thought, let's give running a go.
Yeah, when I hear of you doing this and this challenge, it makes me really curious about where that inspiration comes from, and I'm hearing your parent. There's definitely genes involved.
Yes.
Your dad's Ironman triathlons, lots of cycling, and your mum's determination shines through too.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like your parents are a part of the inspiration for you and physical exercise?
Yeah, hugely. My mum's a physio, so I've always had that in my corner. And Dad has always been very, very tenacious and determined, and he's always exercised and held that to high regard. So he was the first one that took me on a river loop when I was 15.
Yes.
And I tell the story, I always remember I was riding behind
so slow
him.
down a little, like river loop, well known to Brisbane cyclists.
Not so
anyone who's
much.
Not initiated into this, tell us what the river loop is.
Well, currently it is a loop around the Brisbane River that we all do as cyclists. It's become a bit of a weekly route, and I mean, it was probably only 5 years ago where they actually signed it up, like the council signed up the river loop and have coined it. But prior to that, it was just what the locals knew as
it's iconic, isn't
it?
The
iconic loop of through St Lucia and around the back of what's the Tennyson, and then through the Graceville part. Oh, it is up Highgate Hill, and everyone knows it. I didn't know it at the time because I was 15 or 16, and I was riding behind Dad at past South Bank, and I stopped pedaling. I was just freewheeling behind him, and he obviously heard my free hub because I was just quietly paused behind him, and I just heard him go, "Don't stop pedaling." I'll never forget it because I was like, "God damn it. I can hear it." They can all hear it when you stop. So you'll notice now my free hub is very quiet.
You've learnt the lesson.
I learnt the lesson. I was like, find me the quietest one. But yeah, Dad was the one that really got me into all of it, into the sporting side of things, and yeah.
And for anyone who knows you, we know determination. You mentioned those words: determination, the tenacity that is required, and that's obviously comes. At least some of it comes from your parents and early on, which is just lovely to hear. The other word that springs to mind when I think about you and what you're doing is courage. I feel like it's a theme of the domestic violence awareness campaign for White Ribbon, and it's definitely the case when someone chooses to do 7 half marathons in 7 days. I mean, if you agree, do you feel like is there someone in your past you feel, past or present, feels like inspires you from a courage perspective? Do you feel like this is about turning up and showing courage?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't like to coin myself as courageous. I'm very hard pressed to describe myself in any way like that. But I would say that for me, courage is turning up even when you don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky that I have a number of people in my life, past and present, that I would say are extremely courageous. Yeah. I mean, I've got a list as long as my arm, really. I've got my dad showing up every day, even when he was struggling with PTSD from fighting in war. Yeah. Got my friend Emily, who faces up to 2 beautiful girls every day in her work and cycling after going through not once, not twice, but 3 times family and domestic violence. Yeah. I mean, I've got friends that work as first aid, like first responders, paramedics, that show up, and even though they've gone through the most horrific things and seen horrific things, and I mean, to me, running 7 half marathons in 7 days, yeah, it's going to be tough, and I'm nervous, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, I see those people as more courageous than me. Yeah. They're everyday battles. Like, yeah.
It's, I love how you put that. It's about showing up. Mm. And it is absolutely, it puts things into perspective when you think about the challenges that so many of the people close to us face. Mm. Do you feel like that guides you today, that sort of inspiration from people you know and care about who show up?
Oh, definitely. And I think everyone has a different measure of difficult, but that doesn't matter when it comes to being courageous, because to me it's showing up when it's difficult. So if your difficult is one level and my difficult is what I went through, it doesn't matter if we're both showing up. Yeah. And I think all of the people in my life have really shown me that they all do that as well.
Makes a difference when people close to you are doing that, right?
Absolutely.
So I sense this theme in you. It's that challenge has a lot of meaning in your life. Would you say that? Like, is challenge a big part of what it means to be Sheridan, showing up?
Yeah, I think so. And I think maybe a part of me it's a rediscovery of myself.
Yes.
I've always been quite competitive and a perfectionist. And I would say that in the last year, since all of this really unfolded, has pushed me on a path to regain that courage and to challenge myself, because that's when I thrive. And I forgot about that part of me.
So I want to pull this thread on Rediscovery. I'm hearing a new version of you. Like, is there an example or something you can tell me about what Rediscovery has meant for you over this last year?
I think it's just trusting myself again. Having my trust taken away from me, and not realising. And it's been rebuilding through, I guess, turning up when I say I'm going to turn up and do things that I say I'm going to do. It's almost forced me to trust myself again, to believe in myself again. And I think that's a common theme we see with family and domestic violence survivors, is that they no longer trust themselves, and they really struggle to get past, to have any self-confidence or rebuild themselves. And
that feels like it's foundational to be able to have trust in yourself. Without that, it's hard to build on top of that in any sort of meaningful way, right?
Yeah, and I can tell you for free, I am still not there 100%. There are still days where I question everything, and I have to sense check with people in my life to make sure that it is true what I'm thinking, or I'm perceiving something in a certain way, because when that's been broken down and told you that you're wrong for a long time, it's hard to come back from. Yeah.
It's for anyone that knows you like I do, it's you are spectacularly capable, and it's hard to imagine a version of you that doesn't trust herself. So thank you for sharing and being vulnerable in that respect. It's a lovely message on behalf of White Ribbon that their initiatives and things like that are about building a foundation for any victims from domestic violence, that they can learn to trust themselves again.
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
very special.
Yeah.
You've taken us in a nice circle around to the ripple difference this makes to lots of people. We're sitting somewhere. We're sitting inside the beautiful home of Black Sheep in Brisbane.
Yeah, Woolshed.
Yeah. We'll make sure we can see some of their spectacular merch in the background. I want to talk about community and support, but Black Sheep,
Yeah.
they're your supporter, right?
Yeah, they are. It's incredible. They do a lot for the community, both in cycling and running, and they do a lot for mental health.
Yeah.
They do the Man Ride in Brisbane. For those that don't know, it's a huge ride. But there's nothing quite like it. Speaking to people for 6 hours that you've never met before. I've met some incredible people on that ride. So they're really big. They're big stand. I think their recent campaign is Do Different, and it's all towards that, doing something different to make a change. But yeah, I reached out to them, and they were very, very generous and sponsored me with some running kit, which is new for them. It is amazing. So lightweight, which I will need in the heat.
Yeah.
So I'm starting my first run here and finishing it here. And
at
same
the
with my at the Wool Shed. And I'm starting and finishing my last run here too. So
yeah, it's going to be a great place.
I've got a few people that are going to show up at the end. Hopefully me too.
Yeah, well,
we'll see. Crawling to the end.
Yeah, I have every confidence that that's not going to be an issue at all. Yeah, if you, for viewers checking out the video, you'll be able to see in the background a whole bunch of the great, colourful, awesome Black Sheep gear. And I can't wait to see you out in your running gear during the 7 days, Sheridan.
Yeah, you'll definitely be able to see me. It's nice and bright.
Yeah, so Black Sheep are an important part of your support network, but I know it's much wider than that. The community is a big part. Can you tell me more about the support you're getting from a huge range of people?
Yeah, well, I mean, I actually found Black Sheep through cycling, and I would say my core, because I only really started running a year ago, my core community is the cycling community. Quite heavily involved in them now, you would say. So yeah, I feel very, very privileged to have a great community in my sporting realm that has led me to make some incredible friends and meet some incredible people. So yeah, I'm very, very lucky to have not only strong people, courageous people, but very generous people, not just with the people that have donated, but the support they've shown, the people that are going to be out there on bikes, giving me hopefully super dupers and giving me Powerades, and everyone that's volunteered to come and help. And I'm eternally grateful, and I feel a lot of big emotions around how grateful I am for the community that we have in Brisbane. It is a big country town. And you really feel that when you put out a word like this about what's going on.
Yeah, it is amazing. I'm definitely sensing a whole bunch of connecting efforts, connecting elements in what we've been talking about this afternoon. When you talk about community, the mental health journey that you've experienced, from a year ago to now, feels like a lot of that is through the support of community.
Absolutely.
The courage and the ability to show up, the inspiration from the people around us, and the support you get from a bunch of different places that we all do feels like it's all strongly connective to even White Ribbon's domestic violence awareness campaigns and things like that. They're all rest upon all of those things.
Exactly.
Which is why it's so inspirational for you to be doing this and doing something just a little bit crazy. All right, I've saved some of my best questions to last. I'm sure everyone's going to want to know what does the night before nutrition look like when you're doing a crazy activity like this?
Well, bless my father, who we've spoken about already. He has pre-planned my menu for the week and has cooked meals, all very high in carbohydrates and high in protein. So he's been planning this for weeks. I've even got different cuisines happening. He's got Italian, and he's got Greek, and he's got Asian. To ensure I mix it up. I was like, I could probably just have tuna and rice and I'd be happy just to get some fuel in, but no, he refuses to let that happen. So it'll probably be pasta, a lot of oats, and a lot of gels. I've got, I think, about 30 plus of the, what are they called, Pure Nutrition liquid gels that'll get me through. I much prefer those because they're like juice rather than with a jelly flavour.
All right, so you've been shaking out what's going to work for this big challenge. Nutrition we know is really important. So you've answered my next question about run nutrition as well. Is there anything in your preparation that's been surprising, something you might not have realised before you started this that you think is going to be the secret sauce?
Not the secret sauce. I would say one thing I've discovered about running is that toenails are optional.
Yeah, oh no.
Shame, my feet definitely won't be a foot model anytime soon.
You're not swaying me across to the running crowd. This runner's high isn't selling me just yet.
But I would say I'm very lucky, one of my friends who I've known all my life, she and I run together, and she just knows we get to a certain point. It changes. It's not like a set K. It's just varies, and she'll go, is it headphones time? Because she knows.
Headphones time.
And they go, I just need a bit of music to get me by. So that's probably my secret. So when I actually first started training, it was podcasts that I listened to on my long runs.
Yeah.
So I found that was a really great way to distract me rather than music.
Yeah.
But now it's the combination of things.
So I've done some tough things with you, Sheridan, and it's still hard for me to imagine you getting a point where you can't talk anymore. But headphones in time that's the signal, right?
Yeah. When you just see me, I may not even have the words by then.
Yeah, unreal. Also, perhaps more importantly than nutrition, do you have a celebration in mind? What does happiness look like at the end of this?
For me, it'll be seeing all my people at the end.
Yeah.
My son Felix has not made it to my half or my full marathon, but he'll be here on my last run.
That's a huge deal.
So I'll be very happy to see him and show him that you can do hard things and show up. And all of the people in my community. I think there's people coming from the UQ race, crit race that morning, those that don't cycle, at Nunda.
Yes.
And then, all of the running friends. And for me, it'll just be being around those people. And if I can hit my goal of 10K, I will be even happier.
Yeah. It's just unreal, and that sounds like a fabulous way. It's consistent with everything you've said about connecting to community and things like that. Is there a message you'd love people who are listening to this, who are hearing about White Ribbon for the first time, to be left with? What do you think what would you love people to walk away from this conversation thinking about?
Probably a couple of things. One would be that it would be great to see more people get on their website and learn more about them, and volunteer time, and get some information on how they can help stop conversations or call people out that are in their realm, and ways to stop it. And the other thing would probably be that a big thing for me and a few people that I've heard from that are family and domestic violence survivors is that if you weren't there, don't comment on it. Like, you don't know if you weren't there, you don't actually know what someone went through. They can tell you, but you cannot victim blame and tell them that that's probably not what was intended or anything like that. And I think there needs to be a bit more grace around family and domestic violence survivors.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a new one to me. So I'm hearing that the conversation that can happen outside of anyone who was directly involved can be harmful to victims of domestic violence.
Hugely. And children. They're always listening.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, majority of the time they're half of that other person too. Yeah. So you've got to be careful what is said around them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's an excellent message, and one that I may not have thought of myself, so a good one to spread. Yeah, and look, I'm hearing from the start to finish on this that men have a critical role, and I know personally that the standard that you walk past is the standard you accept.
Correct.
And we all have a role to speak up and not accept that which is no longer acceptable and never was.
Yes, correct.
So, thank you for that message.
Thank you.
Well, I got to say, you're an inspiration. I know I'll be out on the bike trying to catch you, and won't be having my running shoes on, but I'll be looking for that headphones in.
Yeah.
That Get It Done Sheridan.
Yeah.
And showing up, and I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone that shows up for you. This is going to have a ripple effect down the years. We're very proud of you. I want to say thank you for everything that you're doing. So well done.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I hope you found Sheridan's story as inspiring as I did. Her courage to turn something so painful into a mission for change is a reminder to us all of the strength we're all capable of, especially when we stand together for something bigger than ourselves. If Sheridan's message resonated with you, I encourage you to support her efforts, whether that's by donating to White Ribbon Australia, spreading the word about her challenge, or simply sharing this video. It all moves us closer to a world where all women are free from violence. Thank you for being part of this conversation. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And, most importantly, remember, every small action matters when it comes to creating change. See you in the next one.